Good morning, Pack fans. Game day, Colorado State is at Lawler Event Center, Mountain West opener, and it is time for episode 2 of the 2,464 Reasons podcast. Let's get to Nick Fazekas. I'm not Dr. Naismith or anything, Nick Fazekas, but when Nevada hits 18 three-pointers and shoots 18 of 36, I'm going to suggest they're a difficult team to beat. And I don't mean to be too reductive about it, but when you make baskets in basketball, especially three-point baskets, your chances of winning go up, as I understand it. Was that really what happened? Is that all of it against Texas Southern?
I don't know if it was all of it, but like you said, I mean, you're sitting so pretty when you make 18 of 36, you shoot 50%. I mean, the energy level is just so high, and I'm sure there in the second half, I'm sure every time the bench saw one go up, they probably figured it was going down. So, basketball is funny how it works that way. Like the offense leads to the defense leads to the offense, and it's like that almost felt like a game that offensively got off to such a great start that like the defense kind of just followed suit. But yeah, I mean, probably put us up against anyone in the country if we're going to shoot 50% from three, and we're probably going to give you a heck of a night.
Yeah. The other thing that, statistically I loved about that game, and Coach Alford's talked about this, was 29 assists. 29 assists, and I think only 10 turnovers. I mean, just that's the kind of, now look, Texas Southern's not very good, but I mean, that is the kind of realization or a glimpse, I think, of the ceiling this team has, right? This team, as constructed, and you can agree with me or not, I just feel like they have a very high ceiling when they do play well.
Hey, I completely agree with you. I mean, that, like you said, Texas Southern might not be the best team in the country, but like at the end of the day, to go hang 105, I think it was, right? I mean, anyone, in a 40-minute game, that's really hard to do. And, I think it's just encouraging. And I think the fans and, all of us need to be encouraged. I'm sure Steve put Texas Southern, as the sort of last tune-up before we're going to get into Mountain West play, and to kind of go out and have that sort of performance. I mean, it's got to be encouraging not only for us fans, but, even for the guys to step in Saturday and, confidence is flying high, I would imagine.
So they have finals and then, a whole week off, right? They played Saturday and then they had to finish up exams. Do you remember that specific kind of stress and what that's like? Because, I mean, I think many listening to this podcast have taken a final, and that's unique in its own right. But then you throw in the start of conference play and the Christmas holiday. Like, it's a lot.
For sure. Yeah, for me, man, I for myself, I enjoyed like school. I enjoyed like the socialization of school. So like the whole final thing was like, yeah, of course, depending on where you had done throughout the duration of the semester, maybe the final wasn't as important as, if you had, screwed off the whole semester where it was like, dude, I got to go in here and get a 90 in order to pass this class.
Right.
So I feel like, we've got a lot of intelligent guys on the team that hopefully laid their groundwork to maybe make these finals and this whole last week not as stressful as what it seems. And, I think as an athlete too, it's kind of fun for Christmas to get going and you get that break and kind of, you're going to go without school. It's just to focus on basketball. But yeah, me personally, I just felt like the school just all kind of went hand in hand with, we're student athletes. So it's like you had to get the school done just as much as you had to get the basketball done. You didn't want to walk into a final and be that stressed out.
So you were in your flow state academically. That wasn't a specific stressor for you.
No, not really. I mean, I feel like I managed school pretty well. Was I a valedictorian? No, not by any means. But I feel like I managed school pretty well. Like I got by. I did not the bare minimum, but you know what I mean? I made it to where it wasn't like a stressful thing. Like I can remember so many guys that we played with that just wouldn't go to class. And I remember I used to sit there and ask these guys like, what in the world are you doing at home while every single other student's on campus? I'm like the video games or like, obviously we didn't have like the social media that we have now, but like the video games will be there. Like they'll be there forever. Like, why don't you go and like, socialize or go see who's on campus? And like, I enjoyed like campus, honestly. Like I didn't miss too many classes in my day. I didn't find too many days that I wanted to not go to class. Class to me was enjoyable.
That's so cool. We talked last week about Nick Davidson maybe setting an example as the lead dog, and we talked about this concept of a lead dog. And when I was talking to Coach Alford on the coaches show this past Tuesday, he was also talking about tenacity and the 94 by 50, as he likes to refer to it. And I
Yep.
said, Coach, I've been around your programs now for a while. You tend to recruit nice young men. Is there maybe something to it that you've got to just remind these guys, or maybe you've got to remind them there's an extra gear of competitive ferocity you have to attain or click into when you're playing the game? And he goes, look, that is something we address. We're not telling people to be bad people when they're on the basketball floor, but it is a different, I think I use the term ferocity. Do you think there's something to that?
Oh, I think for sure, and I mean, obviously, Steve's not going to recruit the headaches. You know what I mean? Steve doesn't.
Yeah.
Steve has a very, very good track record of all the different places he's been, and that's not going to come with too many headaches along the way from a player's perspective. But yeah, I mean, do you end up with like kind of the
Boy
what do you want to say,
Scouts.
like the nice guys? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the guys that are gonna like cross the T's and dot the I's and make sure they do everything, which might lead to a little bit of less physicality or a less one less elbow here or something, a dive on the floor. So yeah, I'm sure sometimes Steve has to squeeze that out of some of the good guys that he has. But I would say that's probably a good problem that Steve
Sure.
has always, solved.
I bring it up
But
because I
yeah,
think
I
I
mean,
think
Nick,
maybe you might have been a bit like that.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Coach Johnson was definitely one of those guys that did a great job of, we didn't have too many headaches on our teams as well. And Fox did a great job of trying to squeeze every last, not only talent or, skill out of guys, but, yeah, you're trying to create toughness. You know what I mean? Like I didn't grow up as the toughest guy, but all of a sudden you're in a drill, a charge drill, or you got guys running through you. Like you're gonna have to show some toughness, and you're gonna have to learn how to get tough. So I'm sure Steve kind of has that same sort of idea or mentality for his guys because it's like you're probably not going to win too many games come March with all the Boy Scouts. You're going to need some guys that can go down there and get their nose, cracked a couple of times and come back for more.
I think part of that shows up on the stat sheet, or I've been led to believe by people who know a lot about basketball that shows up on the stat sheet in things like rebounding, things like defense, opposing field goal percentage, and also free throws attempted. And Nevada is plus in all those categories. They are plus in rebounding. Coach Alford wants to get that gap a little wider. They are plus in free throws attempted, and they're lined up now at 70% from the line. They started a little cold this year, but they're up to just under 70%. So that's trending in the correct direction. But I was starting to really drill into the numbers. And at first, I thought this year's team wasn't producing as much from the free throw line as last year's team. And it's actually
Mm-hmm.
like it's fewer than 3 points per game right now. Through 11
Okay.
games, Nevada's getting about 14.8 points per game at the free throw line, whereas last year they were getting about 17.2. I think I did the math on it.
Okay.
And they're
Okay.
averaging about 3 fewer free throws attempted a game, like 24 to 21.
Okay.
So that gap's not as big as I had perceived it to be bigger. So I realized this team is going to hinge on the defense. And right
Okay.
now, their defensive efficiency is like 80th in the nation. And it's at 100.6 or something. Steve wants to get it down to 95, points per 100 possessions. And I want to know what you see defensively that you think is improvable and what you see defensively that are strengths.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, I'd love to, you hacked into the numbers of the free throws. It'd be fun to hack into more numbers of like rebounding,
Mm-hmm.
compared to the past. Because I believe that a great defensive team obviously finishes with defensive rebounding. So I think if you have a team
So this year
that can
they're
really,
plus 50 in defensive rebounds right now through 11 games.
okay, okay. So I mean, then we're trending in the right direction. I guess part of me watches some of the games. I feel like maybe our one and twos could kind of do a little bit better job of like mixing it up and maybe not trying to, float so much and maybe get more rebounds. Like I think we've talked about before, like Kobe's a 6'9". I mean, at 6'9", playing in the Mountain West, Kobe being who Kobe is, I don't think there's any reason why Kobe shouldn't be getting 5 or 6 rebounds a night. You know what I mean? Like that should be something that we should be able to hinge on. Um, I think Nick rebounds pretty well for, Brandon. We'd like to probably see to grab a couple more of those big time rebounds and stuff like that. But I mean, like we said before, a big strength that we have is the size and, like the length that we have that can really pose problems with getting into the lane and stuff like that. But then you go back to like the Washington State game or even that first half of the South Dakota State game, and then it's offensive rebound after offensive rebound. And it's like eventually these guys are going to make it. We got to finish this possession with a defensive rebound. So part of me just wishes the tenacity was a little bit more there on the defensive rebounds of just like when this thing goes up, this is ours and we're going the other direction.
All right, Colorado State, they just beat Radford. They're 6-5 overall. And this is Nevada's conference opener. Colorado State has not played a conference game yet. Some in the Mountain West have. What's different about conference play? It feels different. It looks different. It's officiated different. And I don't think it's not a criticism of officials. It's just the games are more physical, right? It's just different.
Sure.
Why? What was it to you that you always could kind of count on that would be like that level up in intensity?
I would say that, yes, you're getting prepared for all these non-conference games. And yes, you're getting prepared for Texas Southern or South Dakota State or LMU or whoever it might be. But like I feel like there's another level of like the film and there's another level of like, targeting in on like, hey, we're gonna stop Colorado State from doing this, or we're gonna try to have them lean on doing this. You know what I mean? Like it kind of all gets narrowed down, I think, a little bit more. And um I hate to say it, but you can't really win anything in these out of conference games. I mean, I know we play the games and, in a tournament or whatever, those games might feel, like, hey, we can win something. But like now is the start of something that you can win. Now is the start that feels like these are like the supreme resume builders or like how you kind of see where you stack up to be like, hey, we're going to try to get into March. Are we better than these guys? Are we better than these guys? And it's like, all these games that we kind of played, we're just kind of like feeling out who we are, trying to figure out everything. So I feel like just that level of, attention to detail just kind of like ramps up a notch there for the conference games.
Anything else you want to get to?
I mean, I just more so touching on CSU. I just noticed that we have 3 common opponents this year, right? We have LMU, Washington, and VCU, and we went 2-1 against those guys, and and CSU went 1-2. So it's kind of interesting how that kind of went. They beat up on LMU, and we ended up, I think, LMU. You and I probably agree that was probably the worst game we've played all year. Both teams got to play Washington early in the year, and we beat them. And then the VCU game, we got to play them in that tournament, and I think CSU played them as just a random non-conference, and they lost to them. So. I'm hoping the boys show up ready to go and we can get off to that 1-0 start.
And you're going to be there. So I think that's going to be a little extra edge for the home court advantage.
I will be there. Hopefully I'll toss a couple more T-shirts out. I got my son and my little girl that will be there as well. So I know that they're going to be, Wolfpack ready. My wife will be there with me. She's also a Nevada alum as well. So, we thought that this would be kind of a fun Christmas gift for the kids to kind of go back up to where we went to school and go to a basketball game. It helps that this doesn't intrude on bedtime because it's an afternoon game. So that will be another thing, I think, for the guys that will be a little bit different, right? I don't think we've played maybe in South Carolina. Was there any day games there? But
none at home. No home day games.
No home game games, right? So yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a different preparation that day to get ready for the 2:00 game.
All right, I'm going to have to take a picture of you pointing to your jersey hanging from the rafters.
Yeah, 100%.
He is the GOAT, Nick Fazekas. He will be at the game today. A portion of this conversation will be heard on the pregame show Len Stevens and I get started on the broadcast at 1:30 Pacific time, 2 p.m. tip-off, Colorado State at Nevada, Mountain West opener. Listen live on 95.5 FM here in Northern Nevada or anywhere on the varsitynetwork.com or the Varsity Network app. The game will be telecast on Nevada Sports Net with our great friend Mike Stephenson on the call. So enjoy the game with the Rams, and we'll check in after the holiday. Enjoy Christmas, enjoy Hanukkah, enjoy the holidays, everybody. Peace.